I believe is in mute mode, but please feel free to add your comments to the chat. We will try and get to questions, as many as we can, toward the end of the presentation. This is hopefully going to be a fairly short one. It shouldn't take more than about half an hour to get through all the major features. And so we will have time for questions if you want to ask them toward the end of the presentation, as I said. So just a couple of quick things before the demo itself. If you want details about the product, I would suggest visiting http://apsona.com/BGE, which will take you directly to the batch gift entry page. And I want to acknowledge the significant assistance and drive and motivation we received from our good friends at Cal Partners. Hats off to Judy Sohn and Tommy Span over there for all the help and guidance they gave us during the development of this product. It would not be where it is without their input and drive. So I want to make sure that that's called out. So now let's talk about what batch gift entry is all about here. Essentially, what it gives you is a quick way to add donation information into your Salesforce database without messing with 5 different screens to find your contact info and payment info and so on for every single gift. So one screen in which you enter all the gift data, contacts, donations, roles, payments, everything. Keyboard-friendly user interface so that you can simply tab through the fields and get to the data fields you want very quickly. Another feature is the ability to consolidate a bunch of items into batch items into a batch and maintain them in a holding area so that, for example, you can enter a bunch of batch items early in the week and another bunch of items late in the week and then do a commit all at once when you're ready to go. And at the point of commit, all of the items get created in the actual Salesforce database. And at the point of commit, it automatically creates all the necessary linkages between the records that it creates. And this particular implementation requires the nonprofit starter pack. It uses the payments object, uses the donations object, and the opportunity contact roles, and so on. There have already been cases where we've been retargeting it to other implementations of Salesforce for non-NPSP cases. So let us know if that's something you're interested in. And so now I'm going to talk about, walk through the demo, and let's see where we go here. When you install batch gift entry, and that, by the way, is something you need to do, you need to install a second package on top of Apsona for Salesforce. And that information is available on the batch gift entry page, as I said earlier. So you'll need to add that package into your org, and you will need to ask us to enable a license for you. The best way to do that is in your Apsona, like you're seeing here, you go up to the top right and click the feedback link, and then click the license request radio button. And it'll give you a little box in which it pre-fills the org ID and the org name, the username, login ID, everything that we need to set up your license. So just fill that in, fill in a little note here saying something like, I don't know, please enable batch gift entry, something like that, and click the send button, and we will get the request. We will enable it right away. We're in the process of automating this process as well, so that at a later time we will not be there will be no manual process involved. It will be completely automatic as far as the license is concerned. So now let's talk about batches. When you install the new package, you will get a new item called batches at the top in the menu bar. When you click it, it'll take you to the list of batches that you have available in your system. And to begin with, of course, there will be nothing in this list. We've been playing around, obviously, with our demo org. This is a demo org, by the way. This is all dummy data. Please don't pay any attention to the data in here. It's all junk. as far as interpretation of the data is concerned. It's only intended for testing purposes. So when it comes to the basic concepts associated with the structure, you need to think of the batch as a container, an object that contains multiple batch items, and each batch item typically corresponds to one gift that you would want to record in your Salesforce database. And a batch may contain descriptions of the fields that you want to capture in the item, and those fields can be drawn from either opportunities or payments. So here, just to show you this, let me start by creating a new batch. In the batch list, I'm going to say, add me a batch. I'm going to click the add button, and it brings up this pop-up where it gives me the ability to create a batch name. So let me call this, I don't know, June 18 demo. And to make this really short, I'm going to make it a 2-element batch. It will only have $200 in the total amount, and it'll only have 2 items in it. If you look at the rest of this pop-up, there's a list of fields here. The opportunity fields are shown at the top. Then down below are the payment fields. The fields on the right side are the ones that are required for every single batch. So these are hardwired. You can see that they are required, they are checked and grayed out, so you cannot uncheck these boxes. So contact info, the amount of the gift, the close date, the stage, the payment number, and the record type are all wired in. We can add additional fields into it. For example, like let's say I add tribute to as an additional field there. Let's say I also add, I don't know, opportunity type. When I do so, you see that those 2 fields appear on the right side. And I can set default values for them. And you'll see that by default values, I mean that I will set a value that it takes on initially, but when you actually do the batch item entry, you can update those values to whatever you see fit. So let's say I want the default value of opportunity type to be new funding, record type to be a donation. Let's say I want the stage to be posted, and I don't give any default values for the close date. Let's say I give the default value of 100 to the amount, because I have 2 items and I know that there's a total amount of 200. So I'm going to say each batch item is worth 100. So when I save this, you see what happens. It creates a new record at the top and has it ready for update. Now the thing to remember about batches is that a batch can be in either open state or committed state. And what I just created was a new batch, which is in open state, which means you can add entries to it. If you look at any of the other batches, for example, this one, if I hover over here, it doesn't give me the ability to edit any of these things. If I click edit, it will say it's been committed, you cannot edit it. If you click add entries, it'll say, sorry, I can't add entries to a committed batch, but you can clone an existing batch. So if you click clone, it brings up a pop-up with all of the information in that batch, all of the fields and the names and so on, pre-selected. And you can fix up these fields if you wanted and create a new batch, which is a clone of an existing one. And that helps when you want to create, say, a template of some sort, a batch which you will use as a template for a lot of different gift entries. So let me cancel that out. And let me use this thing, the June 18 demo. One other thing I want to mention. If I go back and look at this committed batch here, it's got 2 items in it. And you see that the 2 batch items below are listed showing the item name, the date it was created, the amount. And there are links to the actual payment and opportunity records that were created as a result of committing this batch. Whereas if you look at this one, there's been no data records, as we said, that's been entered yet. So this section, the list below, is empty. You can actually edit this record by clicking simply the edit link here and updating the field there. So let's add entries to the batch. So when I click add entries, it'll bring me up to a screen where essentially you're adding items to the batch. And this is where you basically use your keyboard to navigate through these fields and type in individual gift information. The order of the fields in this list are the same as the order in the pop-up that we saw a moment ago, with one exception. The record type field is always at the left end, the top left, because the record type determines a lot of the other pick list values in the record. So we want to make sure that you specify the record type first before you put in any other data. Notice also that the default values we set up for the fields already kick in. So the amount we set was defaulted to 100, so that shows up already. The close date we left unspecified, so it always chooses the current date. The state we said was posted, so that's pre-filled. And so the opportunity type. So I'm going to add 2 batch items, as I said. One, let's say I have a gift from someone named Smith, so I'm going to look for SM, type in SM, and I'm going to click the search button here to find the matching contact records. When I click that, I see a couple, 3 people in my database that have their full name matching SM. Now I can use JE or some other string. Essentially, any substring of a contact name that you specify in here will match the contact that will be pulled up in this list. So it just so happens that I have, I guess, Jesse Smith is the one I want to illustrate. By the way, if you look at this list of contact records, you see their name and email and phone and so on. But if you want to ascertain the particular contact, you want to know which one it is that you're really talking about, if you click this link here, you'll see it opens up the contact record in Salesforce, so you can see their details if you want to make sure that that is in fact the contact you want to deal with. And close that off. And let me choose Jesse Smith by clicking that link. And you see that gets pre-filled up here. And the amount is set up to 100. So I can tab through. I can get to the close date. A couple of little nifties that we've added. For example, when it comes to the date field, any date fields that you put in here, if I type in, for example, 18, or let's pick something else, 21, which is the date of 21st of this month, and I tab out, it pre-fills the date with 621. Similarly, if I put in 821, let us say, and tab out, it uses 821 as the month and year, as the date and month of the current year. So you can fill in date fields in this manner if you wanted to. So let's bring this back to today. The stage is posted. And now let's look to see, since we've looked up this contact, let's see if we've got any pending payments available from this contact. So let's click the Find Matching Opportunity Records button. It pulls up all opportunities that have unpaid payments and that have a probability of 50% or more in your sales process. So in this case, we've got 2 records from Jesse Smith. One of them is $100, one is $750. So this is the one I want to match. So when I click that, you see that it fills in the payment information. As an illustration of another feature in here, the tribute to is a lookup to another object, and I can fill in. If I start typing in to the lookup, it pulls up it does an autocomplete to pull up the name fields from the other object. Let's say I put in memory of Jodo or whatever, and I click Save and New, and that is the end of one batch item entry. So you see that the batch item has been created here in this list, but at this point there has been no data entered within the actual Salesforce content. So all we've got is a batch record and a batch item record, but none of this data is actually in Salesforce yet. If I try to commit at this point, when you click commit, it'll say, well, that doesn't quite add up. We've got an item count of only 1. You see up at the top, it says there's 1 item of 2 entered, total entered 100 of 200, and doesn't quite add up. So we need to finish up this batch. So as a second example, I'm going to show you creating an additional batch item in which I will create a new contact, one that I know does not exist in Salesforce. So if I click this button to add a contact record, it gives me an add contact pop-up. And this pop-up, by the way, is the standard Apsona pop-up, which you can configure to add any fields you want, exactly the way you want to set it up. I will simply add another dummy name here. No real significance to any of this data. I will leave off the rest of the fields, and I've got Jim Smith there. Click Save, And what happens is that Jim Smith's record now gets created in Salesforce. This is the one exception to what I said earlier, that data records do not get created in your Salesforce objects until commit. When you create a new contact, the contact record gets created immediately within Salesforce. So let's say we've created Jim Smith's contact record, $100 amount. We'll leave off the rest of them exactly the way they are. New funding, and say save and new, and we now have one more batch item here created in this list. Notice that since there was no payment associated with Jim Smith, this field is blank. So when we actually commit this batch, the donation as well as the payment record will be created for Jim Smith's record when we at that point of commit. Also, a couple of things to note here. You can go back and edit this batch list anytime before you commit. So for instance, you can click in this row and change the amount if you wanted to. You click in and change the close date, change the stage. Any of these things can be done, and then you can click save, and the list gets updated up until the point where you actually do the commit. There's a couple of other tools that are useful. Particularly when you have a large number of items in your batch, you can do an autofill. If you click that, it will let you pick a field among the fields you've chosen here. Let's say I want the amount to be autofilled with a value 50, and if I click fill, it'll fill all of these records with that amount. The other thing also is the delete capability. So if for some reason you found that one of your items is really totally invalid and you want to get rid of it and start over, you simply check that box, go up to Tools and click Delete, and it'll say the one selected batch item will be deleted. I don't want to do that obviously right now, so I'm just cancel out of it. So that's about all there is to say on this side. So we're now at the correct value here. 2 items entered of 2 expected and 200 total dollars entered. So we can commit this. So when we do a commit, watch what happens. I click this commit button. It says committing will create the necessary records and lock the batch. So once the batch gets locked, you cannot edit it anymore. So say OK, and you see the commit status progresses, and then we are switched back over to the batch list. And now we've got the 2 records in the batch associated with the committed batch items. And if we look at the individual items here, if you look, for example, at Jesse Smith's record, we click to open the opportunity here, and you see that the account name is lined up to Jesse Smith. There's a payment record that's been created for $100, as you can see. The contact rows have been lined up. Everything lines up the way you expect it to be with the data records. Similarly, for Jim Smith here, I can look at his payment record, and you see that the payment record was just created a little while ago, 9:47 a.m. One additional feature that we need to add is the ability to print the batch items for reconciliation so that you can send it off to your accounting department. So that was really all I needed to show. Any questions? Let me see that there have been some questions here. I'm trying to find why is this. All right, so here's a bunch of questions. Is it typical that a non-NPO would have totaled the checks first, so would know the number of items? Why these are not calculated and entered? Well, yeah, it is calculated and entered in the sense that you can obviously go in and edit the batch limits before you do the commit. So it's really a guideline. The numbers that you enter, the number of gifts, and the total value is really a guideline for you to set up initially. And you can go in and change it if you want. By the way, I did want to mention one other thing. A lot of these features are similar to what you would find in some of the other nonprofit applications. In fact, Common Ground had something very similar. Luminate has something similar as well as Razor's Edge. So we actually looked at a bunch of those offerings before we did the design for this interface. Can you use this batch tool to create gifts with payment schedules, one that has multiple payments attached to it? Yes, as long as you match up the payment with a particular with a particular gift. Yes, it will match up with that payment. The payment schedule will contain the payments. You pick the one payment that you want to line it up with, and it will update that payment. Can opportunity products be added per entry? That's not something we have looked at yet. I would like to know if there's a requirement for it. Get in touch with us, and we'll definitely follow up with you on that. If this screen is creating the opportunity, how would we be able to specify the payment record, since that should be created after the opportunity is created? Well, like I said, there's two different cases we're addressing. One is when there is no opportunity or payment record. It's a brand new gift. And the other is when there's an opportunity and a payment record associated with it already. In other words, we're not accounting for the case where there is just an opportunity but no payment. So ideally, you should have had a payment record set up a priori before you start doing the batch. But again, that seems like an issue that's come up in the past with a couple of other people. So we're trying to resolve what the best way is to go forward with that. So we're definitely open to suggestions on how to deal with those issues. Can you modify which columns show up in the search results? Yes, you can, but not at not directly, in the sense that we don't yet offer the capability for individual orgs to do it themselves. It's something that we can do behind the scenes for you because it is a one-time thing. But if there's a sufficient need for it, we'll definitely make that possible as well. It's just give you the default columns that you can set up in that list, in the search results. Was the opportunity already created at this point? Well, like I said, the opportunity and the payment get created if you don't have those available already. And otherwise, once the opportunity and payment are readily available, it just lines them up to what was updated. Can the tool create a new contact? Yes, we saw that already. It does give you the ability to create a new contact. Is the stage always posted, or can we set the default to be non-posted? You can set it to whatever you want. The list of stage values that you saw actually is read from your org. So whatever values you've got in your pick list are the ones that will show in the default values there. Is this only for dollar donations, or can batches be done on any field classifications or something else? This is really targeted for donations right now. We haven't really targeted it at a generic sort of a batch entry for other objects, but I would be interested in your input on that as well, Deb, if that's of interest to you. Can we change the data on actual payment record after it has been committed? Yes, you can, because you see that if you look at this, let me see if I can go back to, let me see. If you look at this payment record, click it, you can open it up and update it if you want after the fact. You cannot edit the batch items themselves, of course, but after the commit, you are free to update the Salesforce records any way you want. I know this may be custom, but if you have a recurring gift paid by check, is there an option to enter that check as a recurring gift? Or would it be a single donation? Well, if it's a recurring gift, you would still have a payment on top of it. So you just line it up with the payment, and it will update the payment. I may not be answering all your questions. I'm not totally sure that I'm doing a very good job there. So please feel free to email us with whatever details you want, detailed questions you have, and I'll definitely answer them. If I have an Excel sheet with 25 donations, is there a way to upload that into the batch? Not yet. No. I don't know that was one of the questions I had, whether that's a common use case. I haven't had very many people ask that question, but again, I would definitely be open to additions like that. Are all functions of the NPSP respected? Contact roles of other household members, etc. Yes, they are. The contact role record is created using the NPSP trigger anyway, so it automatically takes care of doing the role. Can you select designations, campaigns from the batch entry tool? Yes, you can. I mean, I just picked the tribute field as an example, but any field that's available in your opportunity or donate or payment object is available as a batch field. Yes. Go over the fields available for initial setup, especially the payment details. As I said earlier, you can pull in any fields you want from within the payment object and within the donation object. So you just open up the pop-up that we saw and pull in the fields, and it'll set up your batch the way you want it. Bear in mind that every batch has its own set of fields. So you can set any fields you want on a per batch basis. So if you have one kind of batch, one set of fields for your major gifts, and a different set of batch for gifts under $75 or whatever, you can set up two different types of batches and clone them every time you need it. At the beginning, you said a second package had to be installed in addition to Apsona. Yes, this is called batches. If you go look at our BDE page, it'll give you the link to the batch gift entry package, so you can just install it directly from AppExchange. Requirement for opportunity products are a great way to handle grant donation designations. Yes, we will need to deal with designations, and that should happen late summer, early fall. It looks like you're using a one-to-one model for contacts. Does it work for the bucket model? That's a good question. I actually haven't tried it with a bucket model. Again, I'd like to follow up with it. If you have questions about the bucket model, I'd like to find out. Any other questions? That's about it, I guess. So thanks again for coming. This has been a real pleasure. I really appreciate you guys coming, attending this webinar. How are institutional donations handled? We don't yet have support for institutional donations, actually. That's one more thing on the list of things to do. We really targeted this at the most common use case of donations from contacts. So keep in mind, this is very, very new. This product was started, the development started, I think, mid-February, and we finished it and had it out on AppExchange probably a month or so ago. So it's really, very green, shall we say. So we're definitely open to input from you. Any update, any feature enhancements, changes you would like to see, I would love to hear. Other questions? Okay. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much for coming. This has been a real pleasure. Please get in touch with us. Let us know how we're doing. Really appreciate the opportunity to work with all of you. Have a wonderful day.